All right. Clap it up, clap it up. All right. Once again, this is ISUPK, Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, out of 1 West 125th Street, under commanding General Yahana. This is the 1 West News Desk out of Baltimore. We come to you with national, international, and local news, just giving you information about and trying to keep our people abreast of what's going on today, here, and around the world. All right, let's get to it. All right. First article: man hospitalized. And this has happened in Northwest Baltimore. Man hospitalized in Northwest Baltimore home on Labor Day. I mean, why are we surprised? Every time we go into our oppressors' holidays, things always happen to us. You understand? We get too caught up in the customs and culture of the oppressor, and brother just, got hospitalized after a shooting. Let's read into the article. A 43-year-old man was shot inside a residence in Northwest Baltimore on Labor Day afternoon. Police say on September the 1st at around 11:25 a.m., officers responded to the scene in the 3300 block of Clark's Lane and found the victim suffering from gunshot wound. Clark's Lane. That's like out off of Ricestown Road, near Pikesville. Clark's Lane, if I'm not mistaken, Clark's Lane is right out there near Pikesville, Northwest Baltimore. All right, let's go. Let's see that board. He was taken to a nearby hospital for treatment. Detectives from Northwest District are investigating the shooting. Authorities are urging anyone with information to contact them. You understand? Contact them with information, for the information. Individuals wishing to remain anonymous can, contact Metro Crime Stoppers. Of course, every time around Labor Day or Memorial Day or the 4th of July or Christmas or Thanksgiving or Easter, anytime the oppressors' holidays come around is a dangerous time. You understand? It's just like that. It's always been like that. Things always go wrong when these holidays come around. They don't, it's just the way it is. We need to just stop celebrating that stuff all the way together. Brother blew his fingers off a few weeks ago during the 4th of July. You understand? Come on now. When we gonna wake up and figure out what's going on? None of this stuff is good for us. Every time a holiday come around, it's the same old. Nothing has changed. You know what I'm saying? Nothing has changed. She really shouldn't be celebrating. You understand? We need to start showing brotherhood. You understand? Every time these holidays come around, we don't do nothing but get into arguments and beefs and get to fighting and stuff like that. And of course, things like that happen. Brothers get shot. Hopefully, we're going to pray for the brother. Hopefully, he have a speedy recovery. You understand? But celebrating the oppressors' holidays. What do we expect? You understand? Let's see here. Let's go to the next article. That was a little small something. Let's go to the next article. Oh, yeah. How about that? Let's go out of that. Yeah. All right, look, you check this out, right? Jelena Ostepenko. Let's say Ostepenko. Jelena Ostepenko has strongly rejected accusations of racism after she was alleged to have called her U.S. Open rival Taylor Townsend of having no class and no education. Listen, this is how the oppressor thinks of us. You understand? This is just how white people think about us, man. They always think we have no class and no education. And in kind of a way, you gotta, I'm not saying respect what she said, but look at how we're portrayed on TV. Look at all of the misnomers and things that the way they project us on the TV screen. Look at all of these reality shows with us on there. Then look at our people that go out and act those things out. You understand? I'm not saying that she's right in her speech because she's totally wrong. You understand? Especially when you're looking at 0.1% of our people or our nation of people, and then you project that on the whole of us. You understand? You project that on the whole of us. Now, the things that we say about the oppressor is 100% correct. They believe that this is how we are, but our oppressor is evil. You understand? Now she's rejecting that the allegations of racism, but they show it to us every day. Whether we are unrespectful or whether we're respectful to them, they show it to us every day. You understand? And to really push the envelope, you understand, this is what happens when we give up everything to be amongst them. We didn't have to be around them, but we chose this. This is the hand that we chose. We chose to be amongst them like this, and being amongst them, we got to put up with what they give. Not to say that we have to, because we really don't have to be amongst them. We can be around them, but we don't have to be of them. You understand? Of course she's a racist. You understand? Of course she's a racist. Is racism involved? Yes, racism is involved. But this is what we chose. You understand? She called Taylor Townsend and said she had no class and no education. And this is how they look at us as a whole. Even the educated, they believe they are above us. It can't be above us. You understand? Look at how they're running this country. Look at the way the country's being run. Listen, all you have to do, Trump proved it. All you have to do is have money and you can run the country. You got money, you can run the country. You got somebody like Elon Musk can come in, got billions of dollars, and can come in and whisper into the president's ear and make him and pull his strings and make him do whatever. All you have to do is have money. It's not even about being smart, because look at the way America is being run. If America was a smart country, if America was being run by smart people, America would not have given up all of its industries and took them out and pushed them out across seas. Now, all of these tariffs and everything that Trump is putting on all of these countries is forcing these countries, and a lot of these countries that didn't get along, is forcing these countries to get along and come together. And now America is being ostracized, and America is being pushed to the side. And America knows America is not the America of the 1970s and the 1980s, when America was the number one country on this earth. We looking at a shadow of America. When we look at America, especially a lot of people that live in America today, we looking at the shadow of America. We looking at America as America of what America used to be. We looking at America like you look at yourself and see yourself when you were 20, but you're 50 or 60. You know, a lot of the things that you did when you were 20, we definitely can do at 40, 50, and 60, right? That's how people in America look at America today. Because we're here in America, we don't see the changes in America. We don't see how America has been weakened. And America has not been weakened by any other country. America has been weakened by itself. And now America's throwing a temper tantrum. Tariffs on you, tariffs on you, tariffs on you. So much so that the foolishness of America is pushing countries together, and now countries are going to begin to go against America. America is not the country of old. America is a weakened new country. Because we live in America, we don't see America as being weak, especially if you're Black, Hispanic, or Native, because we have been taken advantage of from the time we hit the shores of America. And because we've been taken advantage of every day since we've been here, we don't see that America is weakened because we have given into America. We have given up the fight against America. Well, all of these other countries are standing. Think about this, right? After a 20-year war in Afghanistan, Afghanistan is still being run by the Taliban. They still warring in Yemen. They still warring in Iraq. These wars were supposed to be over. We're not supposed to be warring in any country, as America puts it, but America is still at war with all of these countries. If America was so great and powerful, why are they still warring with these small, tiny countries? Syria, still warring with one of the weakest countries, supposedly one of the weakest countries on the globe. And they still fighting and warring. They still fighting with the Houthis. You have to look at America. What you have to do is you have to step back and you have to step out of the shadow of America and look at America through the eyes of these other countries. If America, when you looking at it, still warring with weak nations, think about it, right? They still listen, and let's not be mistaken. Israel or the Israelis are a proxy for America. They're still fighting in Gaza. The Israeli army is supposed to be one of the strongest armies on the planet, but if they're fighting somebody who's only fighting a guerrilla war, they don't even have the equipment that the Israelis have, and they're still fighting them, as a proxy for America. How strong can America be? See, we keep looking at America as America of the 1992 Dream Team. You understand? One of these great, a great nation like America used to be, like I said, in the 70s and the 80s, when America was peaking right there in the 90s, the late 80s into the early 90s. We keep looking at America as when Ronald Reagan said, Gorbachev, tear down those walls, and all of a sudden those walls came down. We're seeing the strength of America through that. You understand? We're not seeing America as it really is. And look at what's happening to it now. You understand? And when we look at, just like I said, when we look at the oppressor and her calling this girl uneducated, you understand, with no class, we really look at it and we know that our oppressor has no class. You understand? Anybody, like I said, anybody can run America. If you look at it, all it takes is a couple of millions of dollars. That's it. Trump, no political education or anything. He's just running off of what he feels. And look at the country. Look at the people who stand behind him. These are supposed to be college educated, geopolitical people. These are supposed to be people who know politics. But look at how they run in the country. And now look at what this oppressor has called Taylor Townsend. You understand? No class, but she had a lot of class when she beat on that butt. You understand what I'm saying? She had enough education to beat you out in that tennis match. That's all that count. You understand? What's going on, Sister Rawai? What's going on, Alizai? What's going on, Adolphus? Shalom, Shalom Israel. All right, here we go. We back. We have a little technical difficulties. Camera keep going out. We good. What's going on with the brothers and the sisters out there? One West News Desk. You understand? So let's read the rest of this article. It says the pair clashed in the second round at Flushing Meadows and then engaged in a finger pointing row at the side of the court to loud boos from the crowd following Townsend's 7-5-6-1 victory. The American walked away before celebrating her upset of the 25th seed in full-hearted fashion. It's competition. People get upset when they lose, and some people say bad things, said Townsend in her post-match interview. She told me, I have no class, I have no education, and to see what happens when we get outside the U.S. I'm looking forward to it. I beat her in Canada, outside the U.S., so let's see what else she has to say. You understand? And intimidation factor, they're losing that intimidation factor too. Look at these countries around here now. Everybody is not afraid of America like they used to be. Just like this sister right now on this court, she's not afraid. You understand? But she played it cool and she played it the best way she did. She won the match and can talk afterwards. Expanding on what happened later in her press conference, Townsend said, I didn't back down because you're not going to insult me, especially after I carried myself a certain type of way with nothing but respect. If I show respect to you, I expect respect as well. That's just the fact of the matter. I think that's tennis. It was unfortunate, but it's something I can put on my TikTok. You understand? Listen. This is just how the oppressor really feels about us. You understand what I'm saying? This is just how the oppressor really feels. And we got to start realizing that, we got to pull ourselves away. We got to stop really. And the sister played it really well. You understand? We got to stop being so emotional. You understand? And when we give them our time, these are the things that happen. But we gave up everything we had. We would have had our own, tennis league, our own football, National Football League, our own baseball league, and things like that. We had our own schools, restaurants, stores, everything, banks and everything. But integration is how we gave it all up. And this is what it has come to. Well, America is falling. You understand? World War III is right on the doorstep. World War III has already started. And we're seeing the evil coming out in the oppressor as his kingdom is beginning to crumble. You understand? And we have to realize that when any kingdom crumble, another kingdom always rises. You understand? There's never been a kingdom that has fell and something has not come up behind it. You understand? So take this in mind. As our oppressor's kingdom is falling, our kingdom should be rising. The only way our kingdom rises is if we come together. You understand? And that's the one thing the oppressor has over us, is the oppressor comes together. Whether it's good intentions or bad intentions, they come together nonetheless. And that's how we have to be. You understand? We got to come together nonetheless. But we have to come together under righteousness. You understand? Because if we come together under anything other than that, then we're no better than the oppressor. And our end will be just as the oppressors. You understand? We have to stand together, but we have to stand together under righteousness. That's the only thing that's going to put us in the position that the Most High intended us to be in. That's the words I'm looking for. You understand? So that I'm gonna drop that. Let's move on to the next one. Let's move on to the next article. Right. I think I read this one before, but I'm gonna read this one again because we gotta. This is the one about Eric Dickerson, Hall of Famer Eric Dickerson, talking about how the NFL teams played Shedeur Sanders. You understand what I'm saying? And again, we play down to our oppressor. We play down to our oppressor. And when you play down to your oppressor, when you begin to stand up and stand up for what's right, the oppressor does the things that he does. Now, Eric Dickerson said that there was a league-wide notice that went out that directed everybody not to select or draft Shedeur Sanders. You understand? And it halfway worked. It halfway worked till they got back around to the 5th round and the Browns came up because the Browns understood their needs and they needed a new quarterback. Think about this, right? How is Joe Flacco still a quarterback? How is he still quarterbacking, period? How is he still quarterbacking, period? He sucked his last 5 years. How does he still have a job? But when you're an oppressor and you run a league, you have a job. Well, if we had our own league, our brothers wouldn't have to fight for jobs like that. We wouldn't have to be poked and prodded like cattle. We wouldn't have to stand up on an auction block like slaves. You understand? Again, we put ourselves through that. You understand? We put ourselves through that. I want to read this article again. I know I read it. I believe I read it last week, but I'm going to read it again. It says on Wednesday, August the 20th, former NFL star running back and Pro Football Hall of Famer Eric Dickerson alleged that the NFL told teams not to draft Shedeur Sanders, reportedly wanting to make an example out of him and his father, Deion Sanders. And this is what they hate. They hate when men stand up and are men, especially if you're a black man, a so-called black man, so-called Hispanic, so-called Native. You understand? They don't like to see us with a backbone. They like to see us with our heads down. They like to see us smiling and shucking and jiving, showing our teeth and gums, being humble. You understand? With our tail between our legs. You understand? They like that. But when they see brothers stand up and they see brothers let's do this. There we go. There we go. All right. Brothers stand up and are men. They can't stand that. You understand? When you show strength, when you show character, you understand? When you show brotherhood, they don't like that. And they'll do anything to thwart and to make you run and turn tail. You understand? They hated that this brother stood up. They hate when you have confidence in what you can do. They hate when you're the best, which we are. We should be proud of it. We are the best at any and everything that we do because it's just in us to be that way. You understand? And to me personally, I don't think there's ever been a great oppressor coach. I don't think there's ever been a great oppressor coach. How hard is it to draft blacks and Hispanics when you know they're the best? When you know they're the best. Think about it. All of those top or those supposedly top schools, top sports schools. Why are they the top sports schools? How hard is it to see a kid in high school that everybody's talking about? How hard is it to draft him? How hard is it to coach him? When they already have the talent, you don't have to coach them up. All you got to do is put pads or put cleats on them and put them on the field and let them go. I mean, think about it, right? Look at the Fab Five back in the day, playing for Michigan Wolverines. 5 freshmen come in and go to the national championship. 5 niggas. You understand? 5 black brothers go in as freshmen and go to the national championship. How hard is that? When you know these 5 are the best, that's why they don't allow a lot of brothers to go and pick the schools that they want to go to, and all of them go to the same school. They want to break it up so that all of these oppressors can get a piece of the action. Imagine if all of those brothers stop going to these schools and start going to these HBCUs. Who would be the best then? Because listen, it's not hard to coach somebody who already has talent. All you're doing is telling them a scheme. That's it. A scheme to run. And how many times have you seen plays or schemes broken and then the brother makes something happen anyway? We see that often. We see that often in the NFL. We see that often in baseball. We see that often in basketball. How hard is it? So it's to me, I don't really want to say that there aren't great coaches, but when you get to choose the best of all the talent, how great are you? I mean, think about it. Bill Belichick, all those years he was coaching the Browns, what happened? Nothing. All the years he was coaching the Browns, nothing happened. Now, I know he had Tom Brady, right? But when you think about it, Tom Brady was not a mobile quarterback. You understand? He was not a mobile quarterback. And he had the best talent all around him. The best talent. Now, think about this. What if Lamar Jackson had all of that talent around him? What if Steve McNair would have had that? What if Randall Cunningham would have had that? How far would they have gone? Think about that. Think about that. A lot of us, we don't think about that. We don't think about that. If you put talent around a quarterback like Lamar Jackson, he would have won a bunch of championships. Think about the perfect season that the New England Patriots had. They had Randy Moss, they had Dante Stallworth. You understand? They had, if I'm not mistaken, who was the running back in the backfield that year? Anyway, they still had the best defensive line and the defense linebackers and some of the best in the league. Think about it. All of that talent. could have won championship. Lamar Jackson could have won a bunch of championships with all that talent. All of that talent. Lamar Jackson ain't really never had no talent around him. No talent. Name his number one wide receiver. They finally put a Derrick Henry with him. Imagine if they put some wide receivers in there. Imagine if they really built that defense. See what happened. These coaches are not great. They just got the edge on picking the best talent. They don't allow that talent to go to the black colleges like they should. That's why they all got mad at Deion Sanders. That's why they was mad at Deion Sanders when all those brothers started going to Jackson State. Deion Sanders should have stayed at Jackson State. That's what he should have done. Should have took all of that talent to Jackson State, let them win till they got into that national championship. Let's see what they would have done then. A great coach like Deion Sanders took a Jackson State from nowhere to everywhere. Then he took a lowly Colorado team. I don't like it, but he took a lowly Colorado team and put them on the map. And look what they're doing to him now. This is the thanks that they give him. This is the reason why we shouldn't give them our talent. This is the reason why we shouldn't give them our time. To me personally, we should always compete against them. That would humble. That would definitely humble. But instead, we're not training our children up. You understand? And it's because we haven't been trained up. And when you haven't been trained up, how can you possibly train your child up? With understanding, with knowledge, and with wisdom. How can you? You can't. If it hasn't been given to you, how can you give it? Well, that's what we do right here in the ISUPK, under Commanding General Yohana. We train up men. We transform hearts. We put righteousness in brothers and sisters. You understand? Everything that we do should be going to our people. It should be going to our cause. Instead, all of these oppressors' colleges is getting billions of dollars every year off the talent that should be going into our neighborhood, that should be going to our people. Every year we chanting and we cheering on Oklahoma, we cheering on Florida, we cheering on all of these colleges that have nothing to do with us, that helps our communities in no way. Look, think about it, right? Even here in Maryland, Maryland doesn't help anybody in Baltimore. Maryland does nothing for us in Baltimore. They do for those communities out there in the county where the oppressors live at. But as for Baltimore, who they're recognized by, they do nothing for us. But why are we shocked? Why should the oppressor have his schools and bring money to us? He shouldn't. In the same way, we shouldn't take our talents to them. Our talent should go to our schools. You understand? Our talent should go to our schools so that our schools can, in turn, build our neighborhoods up. Give back to us. All of those athletes, when they go out to neighborhoods, they don't go out to city neighborhoods. They don't go out to help the very people that help build them up and get them millions of dollars, 40, 50, 60 million dollars every year. They don't build up those people's neighborhoods. They build up their own. Well, in turn, that's what we should be doing. That's exactly what we should be doing. What do you think? Somebody tell, what do you think we should be doing? That's what I believe. And think about this, right? It says, Stephen A. Smith accuses 32 NFL team owners of collusion while comparing Shedeur Sanders to Colin Kaepernick amid the 2025 draft drama. For some time, there have been unconfirmed rumors about the league telling teams not to draft potential number one pick to teach him and his father, Hall of Famer turned college coach Deion Sanders, a hard lesson in humility. And think about it, right? These NFL teams, these NFL coaches, these NFL team owners have no humility, but they want to see you be humble. They want to see you hang your head. Now think about this, right? Think about this. What's the best way to humble them? What's the best way to make them show humility? Bringing that talent back home. Bringing that talent back to those HBCUs. Forget the NFL. Listen, it's enough NFL players, it's enough retired NFL players to start a new league. It's enough. It's enough right now. It's enough NFL players, retired and current, to start a new league. Think about it. They can combine with the NFL, the NBA, and what they call it, the National Baseball League. You got enough players that can start another league. Nobody want to cross that line. Listen, what the scriptures say. The scriptures say, oppression maketh the wise man mad, but a gift destroyeth the heart. You understand? When you put money in a man's face, it makes him change. It makes him change his whole character. You can change a man's cause giving him money. A man can step out and stand up for his people and mean good for his people, but you put money in his hands and it can change everything about him, including his original cause. Oppression maketh the wise man mad, but a gift destroyeth the heart. A gift can totally destroy you as a people. We keep accepting the crumbs from the master's table. We keep accepting the crumbs from the master's table when the master has a bunch of loaves of bread and we only accept it. Because think about this, right? If an oppressor owns a team and he can give you $100 million, can you imagine how much he's getting? If he can give you $100 million, let's say give you $100 million for 5 years, $100 million for 5 years. What's that? $20 million per year, right? $20 million per year. If he giving you $20 million for 1 year, can you imagine he probably making $200 million that year? He probably making that. Imagine bringing that money home. Imagine bringing that home. Imagine bringing that home and taking care of your own people. Imagine building your own stadiums. Imagine having your own rules. Imagine being free to operate as you are. I mean, under righteousness. I ain't talking about doing anything grotesque or anything like that, but operating under your own rules and guidelines. Think about it, right? Think about it. You don't have to stand for the national anthem. Do what you want to do. Ain't gonna be no national anthem in your stadium anyway. You understand? Being able to celebrate whenever you want to celebrate. You understand? Being able to celebrate in the ways, and I'm not saying anything like, again, not anything grotesque, but being able to do what you want to do. Being Black and Hispanic, you understand? Doing us. Imagine that. But this is what we chose. We chose to be connected with the oppressor. When you choose to be connected with the oppressor, hey, this is what we get. I mean, you can't, I mean, it is what it is. You understand? But again, it's not like we can't change the narrative. Again, you got all of these actors, you got all of these athletes, retired and Karen. You got all of these so-called billionaires. What's to stop us? Only thing to stop us is us. Think about it. That's just something to think about. You know, let me go on to my next article. Let's go on to the next one. Let's see what else we got here. Check this out right here. It says right here, and this is crazy right here. It says Guatemala says it suggested that the U.S. send its unaccompanied migrant children home. Unaccompanied migrant children. The U.S. still has unaccompanied migrant children of Guatemala. They still have unaccompanied migrant children. Ain't they supposed to be sending? They supposed to be sending deporting immigrants back to their country. They still got children. Listen, America's a wicked nation. America's a wicked nation if I ever seen one. Listen to this article. After planes with Guatemalan children were loaded in the U.S., then prevented from taking off by federal judge's decision to temporarily halt the children's removal, the Guatemalan government said on August 31st that it was responsible for recently proposing to the Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem that the unaccompanied Guatemalan minors be returned to their home country. Why are they not returning? Is there an Amber Alert put out? Somebody should put out an Amber Alert. Somebody should put out some kind of alert to get these children back to their homes. But this is what our oppressor does. Our oppressor makes laws, but our oppressor breaks the same laws that he makes. Again, our oppressor makes laws, but he breaks those very same laws. Listen, the laws that our oppressor creates were not created for them. Those laws were created for us, to control us. They don't live by the rules. We have to live by the rules. Listen, America's in chaos right now. America's in total chaos because everybody recognizes that America says one thing but does something else. Listen, scriptures say the words of his mouth are smoother than butter, but war is in his heart. I know at one point they had children, working. This is like in the late 1800s, the early 1900s, working in labor camps. Not labor camps, but had them. That's why they made all those child labor laws and all of that. But as we can recognize, America is still doing that. America has not changed its tune. America is still breaking its own laws. America monitors every nation on this globe and talks about how they're breaking child labor laws, but America does the same thing. Why is America not sending these children back to Guatemala? Why are they not sending them back? Because they're using them as child labor. Think about this, right? Think about this. I got another article. I'm gonna hold on that. We ain't gonna think on that. I get that article. I get that article later. But why are they not sending these children back? They should be putting out an Amber Alert for America. The rest of these countries should have an Amber Alert for America when America doesn't send back their children that they supposed to be deporting back to their countries. All of these other countries should have an Amber Alert. Should pop up right on everybody's phone. An Amber Alert, alert against America. You understand? They should put America's license plate number and everything on there. You understand? What America looks like and all that, and tell them send those children back. That's what they should do. America doesn't live by the rules, though. We're under unrighteous rule. This is what unrighteous rulership looks like. It's how America can kick your door in, destroy your whole house, and go and not be accountable for anything. This is the reason why. America doesn't live under righteousness, but unrighteousness. You understand? It says, in a statement published to the social media platform X on the evening of August 31st, the same day as the judge's decision, the Guatemalan government indicated it wanted to prevent. Let me see. Let's see. Oops. Con, yes. Let me hold on. Salaki, hold on, everybody. Okay. I'll get back to my article. I lost my place. Here we go. All right. Listen, it says in a statement published to the social media platform X on the evening of August 31st, the same day as the judge's decision, the Guatemalan government indicated it wanted to prevent the children from staying in shelters and detention centers, and that it supports coordinated action to reunify Guatemalan children with their families. America not sending them children back. America got free labor. Free labor is what America is run on. You understand? Free labor is what America is run on. And this is the reason why America is a horrible country. When you are born into a system, that system seems to be the norm to you. If you read history and you begin to see what America has always been, then you'll start to realize that America is still the same horrible country it has always been. You understand? They act like they freed you from using the Emancipation Proclamation, but to be emancipated only means to be moved from, private property to state property. And like we always say, when you're in court and you get convicted, they say you are now property of the state. You understand? So you are no longer the property of yourself, but now you belong to that state. And now that state can use you in any way they feel fit. This is the reason why they have people, who are locked up. Now, this is the reason why they got them fighting fires and things like that, because they are property of the state, and the state can use you in any way they feel fit. And then if anything happens, they really don't have to report you because you're property of the state. You're not digging. A lot of times people don't find out their loved ones have passed on until they begin to dig and inquire. And then, he passed away this time, from blah 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 blah. You understand? And now everybody's in a frenzy. You understand? But this is the reason why we have to live in righteousness, so that we don't get caught up in an evil system like this is right here in America. This is the reason why we got to do this. This is the reason why we got to get into righteousness. Listen, it says the Guatemalan government has plans to identify the needs of each of the Guatemalan children and intends to include them in social programs in their home country. The government stated all actions that have been taken in regards to the accompanied minors have taken the children's human rights into account and have complied with due process, the government alleged. NPR asked the Guatemalan government how many children it had requested be returned from the U.S. and whether all of their parents have asked that the children be returned to Guatemala. As a U.S. attorney indicated in a hearing on August 31st, the Guatemalan government did not immediately respond and did not directly address those questions in its statement. The statement appeared to contain a factual error. The Guatemalan government said it suggested the idea of sending back the unaccompanied minors to Nome while she was in the country in July, but Nome visited Guatemala on June 26th after making stops in Costa Rica, Honduras, Paraguay, and into a tour of Central America. Listen, check this out. Even with this, right, I still don't believe what America says. America says a lot of things, and America gives us half truths. America's not going to tell you everything. And I wouldn't be surprised if Guatemalan did ask. I know they probably asked for a certain amount of children, but I'm only speculating. But I know America. I've been in America for a long time now, and I know how America operates. You understand? I'm going to drop that. I'm going to go to my next article. Here we go. It says Snoop Dogg breaks silence after rant about LGBTQ plus scene in Disney film sparked backlash. Snoop Dogg has responded to the backlash generated over his comments about a same-sex scene in the Disney film Lightyear. During a recent appearance on its Giving podcast, the rapper said seeing a same-sex couple in the 2022 film left him scared to go to the movie because he did not want to answer his grandson's question on homosexual relationships. The comment generated backlash against both the rapper and the podcast over how the episode was edited. Listen. When America speaks on TV, they speak of their opinion. When you hear the news, they speak of their opinion. You know, America's supposed to be, the land of free speech. You understand? You're supposed to have free opinion. You're supposed to be able to feel a certain way or be able to think the way that you feel like, you want to think and feel. Out here in America, and this is what we keep saying about America is not the country that you think it is. You understand? This is a military-run country. You understand? Everything is done by the sword. You understand? You either bend the knee or you catch the sword. That's America. You can't think the way that you want to think. You can't voice your opinion. America's allowed to voice their opinion. The oppressor's allowed to voice their opinion. But you, blacks and Hispanics, you are not allowed to voice your opinion. in any way possible. It's against the rules. You can't say how you feel. You can't feel a certain way. You have to feel the way that America feels. Hey, listen, if we pay you, we tell you how to feel. And this is what you know, accepting gifts do. This is when it says that gift destroyeth the heart. A gift makes you change your opinion. A gift makes you change your thought process. A gift makes you speak in a way you would not have originally spoken. You understand? Yeah, Alizai, he's scared to explain to his grandson. But me personally, shit, I already had that talk with my grandkids. You understand? And again, when you accept gifts from the oppressor, this is how they control you. Now you have to come back and you have to apologize. When people speak on blacks and Hispanics, they don't have to apologize for anything. They can feel a certain way and they can express their opinions. But you as a Negro, a Hispanic, a wetback, you can't express your opinion. You have to feel the way that we say you can feel. America has paid for him. I mean, let's be real. This is why you see people who never rise above this, and then this is why you see people shoot through the sky. This is what happened. You understand? Think about it, right? If everybody, and I'm going back to an old article, if everybody that is in the NFL that is a prominent figure in anything, any sport or anything, whether it doesn't even have to be a sport. If you saw what happened to Shedeur Sanders and you didn't speak up, or you had no opinion on it, this is why America pays people in the way that they pay. So that they can keep everybody quiet and they can continue to run this slave machine like they do. That's it. That's it. You understand? Said the rapper addressed the backlash in the comment section of Hollywood Unlocked Instagram post, writing, "I was just caught off guard and had no answer for my grandsons. All my gay friends know what's up. They've been calling me with love," he continued. "My bad for not knowing the answer for a 6-year-old. Teach me how to learn. I'm not perfect." Man, listen, that's a sucker. That's a sucker right there. That's a sucker. You understand? And when the oppressor buys you, when the oppressor pays for you, these are the answers that you give. All my gay friends. Every time, listen, if you ever listen to a lot of people who've been paid for by the oppressor, they always start off with all my gay friends. All my gay friends. When did straight dudes start hanging around with gay people? I'm just saying. You know. When did we start hanging around? When did we start hanging out like that? I'm not saying that we don't know any. When did we start hanging out like that? Teach me so I can know. Teach you. You're in your 50s. If you don't know by now, you ain't gonna never know. You know, you just don't want. You want to act like you don't. You got to stand 10 toes down. You got to be strong. You got to be a man. You got to stand on what you say. But when you've been paid for, how can you? You bend the knee when they say bend the knee. That's just all to it, you know. My bad for not knowing the answers for 6-year-olds. Ain't crazy. Nowhere in the world. Gift destroyeth the heart. It makes you humble. Makes you bow down. Makes you kiss the foot. That's what it does. Listen, it says on the podcast, which appears to have edited the episode to remove the section from the main upload. Snoop Dogg mentioned his grandson had a series of questions about queer couples that the rapper didn't have an answer for. Listen, when have a 6-year-old ever asked a question that we didn't have an answer for? In the privacy of you and your grandchildren. When have you ever sat and said, "Oh, I don't have an answer for that"? A simple question. Brothers be buck dancing, boy, for real. They're like she had a baby with another woman. Well, my grandson in the middle of the movie, like, pop out, Snoop. How she have a baby with a woman? She's a woman, he said. That goes to show you, right? When children ask questions, they know stuff is not right. How hard is it to say that, listen, that's not right? This is a movie, but that's not right. You understand how hard it is? Look, anytime a kid can look and say, how a woman have a baby with another woman? Children are not stupid. We get real dumbified. You understand? We get real dumbified. Let's go to the next one. Where's that article at? Give me a second. Hold on. Look at this, right? Said Trump's immigration crackdown sweeps up 2 firefighters battling a wildfire in Washington state. Firefighters battling the Bear Gulch fire in Washington were arrested by immigration authorities on Wednesday. Man, ain't that crazy? It's authorities in Washington state, have been fighting the state's largest wildfires nonstop for almost 2 months. Since early July, the Bear Gulch fire has burned nearly 99,000 acres, and officials say it's only 13% contained. In fact, it's so big that the state has to rely on contract firefighters. But on Wednesday, one group of firefighters who were battling the blaze had to take a 3-hour timeout for their work after their camp was raided by Border Patrol officials. Now think about that, right? You got immigrants fighting wildfires, legally fighting wildfires. These are not immigrants that just showed up and said, hey, I'm gonna help them out. This is the state that picked them up and brought them to help fight the wildfires. And then ICE steps in and arrests them. How horrible is America? How horrible is America? We're fighting wildfires. And America steps in after you fight. Why are you fighting the wildfires? Put you on a 3-hour timeout to arrest you. Meanwhile, another 100 acres is burning up. Listen, America is a horrible country. America's a horrible country. Dad brothers fighting wildfires, but turning around and going to arrest them while they fight wildfires. Listen, their hate for us is so high that they let the country burn up just to arrest immigrants or so-called immigrants. Horrible country. Listen, it says on Wednesday, one group of firefighters were battling the blaze and had to take a 3-hour timeout from their work after their camp was raided by Border Patrol officials. Video of the raid shows dozens of fire contractors being lined up and asked to show their IDs. Border Patrol officers ultimately arrested 2 of the firefighters whom they believe were in the country illegal. That's crazy. So evil, they stop you from fighting fires, let the country burn up just to arrest two people who they think are illegal. Because it's not even saying whether they were illegal or not. They said they think they're illegal. We are an interconnected society of human beings who depend on each other to survive and thrive. Customs and Border Protection said that the arrest followed a criminal investigation into 2 companies contracted to assist with fighting the fire. On Friday, the Department of Homeland Security issued a statement on X, which said the 2 men apprehended were not firefighters, but worked in a support role cutting logs into firewood, adding the firefighting response remained uninterrupted the entire time. Yeah, I bet you they did. Now they want to say they ain't have nothing to do with the fires, but what they doing cutting logs? Horrible country, a horrible country. You understand that we're gonna continue to believe. Listen, we don't even believe that. It says, according to reporting in the Seattle Times, one of the firefighters told the men they were not allowed to take video of the incident. You risk your life out here to save the community. The firefighters told the Times, this is how they treat us. Another firefighter told the paper that they were denied the chance to say goodbye to their detained crew members. I asked them if his family can say goodbye to him because they're family and they're just ripping them away. The firefighter said, and this is what he said, you need to get the blank out of here. I'm going to make you leave. As the Times notes, it is unusual for federal border agents to make arrests during the fighting of an active fire, especially in a remote area. Earlier this year, Donald Trump rescinded a Biden-era policy that barred immigration enforcement at so-called sensitive locations which apply to natural disasters. Listen, they don't care where they arrest you at. As long as they're arresting and taking so-called illegals into custody, that's all they worried about. They ain't worried about nothing else, you know? So we gotta come together as a people. You understand? And with that, with the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge under Commanding General Yohana, this is One West News Desk out of Baltimore under Captain Saparia. am Officer Muhammad. With that, shalom, Israel.